Over the years, Duggar News followers have continued to get a glimpse into the lives of adult Duggar siblings. Even after TLC canceled their shows twice, some family members decided to still depict their lives via social media. Well, Jed and Katey Duggar are one of them. While they don't give everyday updates, they often share major highlights from their lives. It's been a special year for Jed and Katey. That's because last year, they announced the arrival of the first pair of twins in the family. It was indeed an endearing moment for everyone. So, viewers have been in the loop about their lives since they had their baby girls. Well, some were quick to notice a major parenting blunder made by Katey. What was it? In the last year, Katey and Jedidiah Duggar have been one of the most talked about stars. That's because their baby announcements kept surprising the audience. At first, they told Duggar News followers that they were expecting their first set of twins. It was Jed's special moment because he himself is a twin, so he knew the importance. Despite the celebrations, one of Katey's moves really upset the viewers. She captured the audience's attention while filming a vlog. She was pregnant at the time with her twin babies and decided to drive the car without a seatbelt. So, viewers didn't waste their time bashing her and continued to tell her to be more careful at such a sensitive stage in her life. It's been a while since Duggar News followers heard from Katey and Jed Duggar. After making their baby announcements and the arrival of their twin girls, they turned awfully quiet on social media. Fans figured holding down the fort for newborn twins and 2 other toddlers isn't an easy task. In fact, Katey also posted on Instagram about what it's like taking care of them. She made an Instagram reel with the title, "My Morning with 4 Kids Under 3. In it, Katey mentioned how she has been reading the book For the Love of Discipline, When the Gospel Meets Tantrums and Timeouts. Many viewers were upset about this. They pointed out how, in the comments section, there has been heavy criticism of the book. That's because it has mentions of timeouts and spanking. Many viewers criticized Katey. They said as her kids are not even 3 years old, she shouldn't be worried about disciplining them with such hurtful tactics from a young age. A lot of users said that it can have adverse effects on kids when they get exposed to hitting and isolation from such a young age. Well, Katey has not yet responded to the backlash. Well, fans are still hopeful they would be able to get through to her, as she still has a chance to mend her ways and come up with better tactics to look after her 4 kids. Over the years, Duggar News followers have gotten an up-close and personal look into almost all of the adult siblings' lives. Well, Jessa is one of them. Fans got to see her wholesome moments with her husband, Ben Seawald. Everyone thought that they were one big happy family. As years passed, Jessa gave birth to more kids in her family. So far, Jessa and Ben are parents to a total of 5 kids. The former is often updating viewers with several social media posts. However, many of them have started to believe that it could not be an honest depiction of the family's lives. There are many posts on social media that hint that Jessa and her family are not doing so well. So, what happened? It's been a while since Jessa and her family appeared on TLC's shows. After all, Josh Duggar's heinous crime ensured that the network never invited the family back for more seasons of their shows. Amidst all this, viewers had also seen Jessa getting married in one of the seasons. At first, she appeared quite happy with her husband, Ben Seawald. Duggar News followers expressed concern for Jessa in a new post. They said how she is always complaining about her kids and how they mess up the house all the time. Viewers have gotten a glimpse of her messed up house many times online. Due to this, they have reason to believe that Jessa is not in a happy marriage, but she has not publicly addressed it. As mentioned above, Jessa has to hold down the fort for 5 of her kids. Hence, it's not an easy job. Duggar News fans have seen her struggle a lot on social media. While she often shares cute moments of her kids, some have been able to sense how much looking after them tires her out. Apart from this, there have been rumors about her miserable marriage all over the internet. Now, fans may have reason to believe that Jessa's family may be going through money troubles. A Redditor shared a picture of a wedding dress. They mentioned how it was up for sale. Many began deducing what if it was Jessa trying to sell it online. While there was no proof of it, many began to wonder why she would be willing to sell it in the first place. Some suggested that Jessa and her husband are going through money troubles. After all, they have 5 kids of their own, and running a house with 7 members doesn't seem like an easy task. While Jessa seems to be earning from her social media fame through posts and stories, fans aren't sure if she is earning a lot to sustain so many members of her family. Jinger Duggar has been one of the most prominent Duggar siblings. Duggar News followers know that it was a devastating blow for the entire family when Josh Duggar went to prison for CSAM crimes. Since then, the former has given statements about the same and said she was content with the verdict. She has also condoned the ways her family was brought up. Apart from this, Jinger and her husband, Jeremy, have also expressed having strained bonds with the rest of the family members. It was because they realigned their faith and recognized the toxicities behind the IBLP teachings. While talking about the same, Jinger decided to some of the most hard-hitting questions. Jinger and her husband, Jeremy, are still devout Christians, but they have let go of their past teachings from the non-denominational Christian Fundamentalist Organization, IBLP, Institute in Basic Life Principles. In one of the podcasts, the former addressed legalism. It says that a person can get salvation only by obeying rules instead of being devout. Jeremy was against this idea because he felt legalism distorts God's character. It teaches people that God will only be happy once they follow a certain set of rules. So, he called the teaching and the religion rather devilish. Jeremy feels that love is at the heart of every law God has for the people. Many believed it was his way of calling out Bob. Jinger Duggar has been a huge advocate for realigning one's faith and not blindly following childhood teachings. She has talked about this aspect of her life through her books too. Duggar News followers have been proud of her for breaking through the IBLP trance, but it did cost her some of her bonds. In a new segment in her podcast, She Got Candid, Jeremy and Jinger decided to do a podcast segment where they wanted to take fan questions and address them. That's when a viewer wanted to know if she was angry at her parents for making the family practice IBLP teachings. Well, she graciously answered this question. She said how following IBLP teachings had guaranteed her parents success for kids. So, Jinger was not angry at her parents. She could say it very clearly. After all, her parents had good intentions for the kids. Even if her childhood had many issues, she was not at all resentful about it. Duggar News followers were upset at her mature approach. They were glad to see how Jinger had made sense of the situation and wanted to build towards the strained bonds. So far, Jinger has been making efforts to hang out with her sisters and her mother, Michelle Duggar. She also celebrated her recent birthday with them in Arkansas. However, fans aren't sure if she has made any progress in mending her bond with her father, Bob Duggar. Jinger Duggar Vuolo's response to whether she's angry at her parents for raising her under the strict teachings of the Institute in Basic Life Principles, or IBLP. If you've followed the Duggar family over the years, you know they've been at the center of countless discussions about faith, family values, and parenting. But recently, Jinger has opened up in a way that's both vulnerable and inspiring. So let's dive into her journey, unpack what IBLP really means, and explore how she's navigating her relationship with her parents today. For those who might not be familiar, Jinger Duggar Vuolo is the 6th child of Bob and Michelle Duggar, stars of TLC's hit show 19 Kids and Counting. Growing up, Jinger was known as the quiet, introspective sister, the one who often seemed to observe more than she spoke. But behind the scenes, her life was shaped by the principles of IBLP, a controversial Christian organization founded by Bill Gothard. These teachings dictated nearly every aspect of the Duggars' lives, from modesty rules and courtship practices to homeschooling methods and gender roles. Fast forward to today, and Jinger is now a wife, mother, author, and advocate for change. She stepped away from many of the beliefs she grew up with, which has sparked a lot of curiosity and some criticism about her relationship with her parents. To understand why this question matters so much, we need to talk about IBLP, or the Institute in Basic Life Principles. This organization, led by Bill Gothard until his resignation in 2014 amid allegations of misconduct, promoted a very specific interpretation of Christianity. At its core, IBLP emphasizes strict adherence to what it calls God's chain of command. In practice, this meant fathers were seen as the ultimate authority in the home, mothers submitted to their husbands, and children obeyed without question. There were also rigid rules around modesty, dating, education, and even entertainment. For the Duggars, this translated into a highly controlled environment where individuality often took a backseat to conformity. And while some former members have spoken out against IBLP, calling it cult-like, others credit it with instilling strong family values. So, what does Jinger herself say about all this? Over the past few years, she's become increasingly open about her experiences growing up in the Duggar household. In her book Becoming Free Indeed and various interviews, she's shared both the positives and negatives of her childhood. On one hand, she acknowledges the love and support she received from her parents. On the other hand, she's admitted that certain aspects of IBLP left her feeling restricted, confused, and disconnected from her true self. For example, she's talked about struggling with feelings of shame over her body and identity due to the emphasis on modesty and purity culture. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Is Jinger angry at her parents for raising her under these strict teachings? Well, her answer might surprise you. In a recent interview, Jinger addressed this head-on. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that she doesn't feel anger toward her parents, because she knows they genuinely believed they were doing what was best for their family. They weren't trying to hurt her, they were following what they thought God wanted for them. That said, Jinger has also been clear that forgiveness doesn't mean ignoring the harm caused by those teachings. Instead, she's chosen to focus on healing herself and breaking cycles she doesn't want to pass on to her own children. There's so much we can learn from Jinger's story. First, it's okay to question the beliefs you grew up with, even if they came from people you love and respect. Second, forgiveness isn't about excusing harmful behavior. It's about freeing yourself from the weight of bitterness. And finally, Jinger's journey reminds us that growth often comes from discomfort. By confronting her past and choosing a different path, she's creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling, not just for herself, but for her family too.